begging you, please delete this stuff. This is my reputation.
And the first time I met 50, you know, it was just genuine. And I sat by him and we actually got to watch people audition for a couple hours. And the next day he called me 8 o'clock in the morning, woke me up. I'm like, damn, 50 calling me. So I answered the phone. He like, hey, what you think about going to acting classes? I want you to play your dad. And at first, you know, it sounded crazy, but of course, you know, I'm gonna do it. I'm not doing it.
The whole mess with Lil Meech and Big Meech just blew up all over the internet, and trust me, it's way nastier than folks thought. Let's dive into this tea. Right now, their entire family name is getting dragged through the mud, and the receipts floating around are downright wild. For months, whispers were going around behind closed doors about their real lives. But now that the puzzle pieces are snapping together, the picture looks straight up ugly. Let's start with those leaked chats, because Lil Meech is basically begging in them.
Begging you, please delete this stuff. This is my reputation, bro. I apologize for saying what I said to you. Please, man.
But you said it was capped though. What was capped, Demetrius?
Celina, I said that to get the post deleted, Celina.
Okay. You're right. But now you want to make me look like a liar in front of the internet. It's crazy, Demetrius.
That's not how I tried to make you seem. I apologize for that.
That is not the voice of somebody untouchable or moving like a boss. That's the sound of someone cornered with no plays left to run. The desperation in his tone is loud and clear, and it keeps spiraling like every single option's already been burned through. He's flipping back and forth, tossing out sloppy excuses, trying to sound believable. But then he slips up big time, ending the whole act. He flat out admits he spun lies just to get Celina Powell to take a post down. That's the peak of embarrassment, because once you cap online, it's permanent. Memes will haunt you longer than your clout, and screenshots, they never die. But this is where the drama really takes off. Big Meech's legend sat untouched for years. According to the story, the BMF kingpin had millions stacked away, hidden behind walls and tucked in ceilings. Offshore accounts were painted like treasure chests just waiting to be cracked open. The tale went that when he finally walked free in October, he'd be stepping back into a mountain of cash. But Celina Powell says that fantasy is nothing but smoke and mirrors. According to her, the real scene behind the curtain looks nothing like that fairy tale, and the so-called empire of hidden millions might not even exist. And if anyone would know, it's Celina. She's made a whole brand out of exposing rappers and celebs. She says the situation is way worse than folks ever thought. She's claiming Big Meech, Lil Meech's father, is broke and leaning on favors instead of fortune. After hanging around Lil Meech for a while, she says she spotted the cracks in his big baller image fast. According to her, he was moving sloppy and slipping heavy because he was geeked up. Even crazier, she claims she saw with her own eyes how his Ferrari, Urus, and Lamborghini got snatched right out from under him. Not because of beef or haters, but because he couldn't keep up with those sky-high fees and insurance. Now pause on that. Exotic car insurance alone can run $8,000 to $10,000 every 6 months. That's like paying a second car note just for the privilege of keeping it on the road. And if your money's not steady, those bills will eat you alive quick. Behind the scenes, you're drowning just to maintain a lifestyle that only looks shiny on Instagram. But Celina didn't stop at the car drama. She turned it up another notch. She alleged that Big Meech and Lil Meech are camped out in one of Floyd Mayweather's Miami cribs, not even renting it for real, but posted up like it's an Airbnb or borrowed spot. And when you connect the dots, her story starts making sense. Think about when 50 Cent cut ties. First, he pulled the plug on the BMF TV show. Then he canceled Big Meech's massive welcome home event. Back to back, those moves wiped out their main streams of income overnight. The second that partnership collapsed, so did their financial foundation.
And the first time I met 50, you know, it was just genuine. And I sat by him and we actually got to watch people audition for a couple hours. And the next day he called me 8 o'clock in the morning, woke me up. I'm like, damn, 50 calling me. So I answered the phone. He like, hey, what you think about going to acting classes? I want you to play your dad. And at first, you know, it sounded crazy, but of course, you know, I'm gonna do it. I'm not doing nothing. So of course I wanted to do it, you know, I just didn't know if I could do it.
The draft from Randy about, because it was important to show the origin story, to see the innocence and how they chose to get involved, and then it grew.
Once a rock-solid empire, it now looks like nothing but smoke, mirrors, and cracks showing everywhere. They're fully exposed and the world is watching. It's tough to see this play out because the old heads in the game still remember Big Meech's golden era clear as day. Back then, he wasn't just stacking money, he was the money. He redefined what it meant to live larger than life. He didn't just flex, he wrote the handbook on how to flex, turning it into a lifestyle rappers still try to copy today. Picture Maybachs and Lambos lined up like Hot Wheels, private jets parked on standby, diamond watches flooding both wrists, and designer dripping like a runway. Clubs would literally shut down to let BMF roll through, and when they stepped in, money rained down so heavy it looked like fall leaves. He started the whole wave of spending out loud, showing power not by saving, but by blowing racks in one night. But decades later, you can bet he wishes every dollar that hit those club floors was still locked in the vault. That's the brutal truth of this game. It feeds you, but when it flips on you, it'll leave you starving. And watching Lil Meech struggle in that massive shadow is an even sharper sting. So how does it feel to get exposed by someone like Celina Powell after being tied to one of the most legendary street empires ever? Let's keep it real. She's not the type of woman men brag about. She's infamous as the superhead of this era, bouncing from one high-profile name to another, milking connections for clout, then flipping those stories into her own hustles the minute the bag dries up. The streets already know her whole playbook. Any real OG would tell his son straight up, steer clear of women like her. And Big Meech, who lived through a world of hustling, betrayal, and constant pressure from the feds, surely knew the game, but Lil Meech either tuned him out or thought his name alone made him untouchable. And that's exactly when the biggest mistakes get made. Celina Powell didn't just flex about Mayweather's house or repossessed cars. She went for the jugular. She boldly accused Lil Meech of having a serious pill habit, and that doesn't just wreck his health, it slashes his credibility too. Once folks believe you're in a chokehold like that, every single move you make gets judged through that lens. And just like that, the whole image started crumbling. Then she dropped her wildest bomb yet. She accused him of being a snitch. According to her, this ties back to a traffic stop where cops found a pistol in the car. She claims Lil Meech pointed the finger at his own friend, who ended up doing time, while he walked away free instead of standing tall. And whether her version is fact or fiction, once a rumor like that spreads, it's almost impossible to shake, especially when the Meech legacy is attached. In street culture, even the whisper of being a snitch sticks forever, and it can wipe out your entire rep. Now let's zoom out. Imagine if the internet had been around during BMF's reign. Every scandal, every flashy flex, every rumor would have gone viral in minutes. Back then, dirt only spread by word of mouth, coded magazine lines, and low whispers. Today, clips, recordings, and screenshots fly online faster than anyone can clap back. That's why in this era, reality matters more than appearances. When you're really up, there's no need to overflex, fake, or beg. But when you're broke behind the scenes and still stunt for the gram, somebody with the real tea will always pop out with receipts. And that's exactly what we're watching right now. Loud crying in public while begging for silence in private. And it hits even harder with the Meech name tied to it. At the root of it all is one simple lesson. Don't blow cash you don't have. If your pockets aren't built for it, skip the flashy flex. Forget the Lambos and Ferraris. Those toys will drown you faster than they'll impress strangers scrolling online. If rolling in a Honda, Toyota, or any solid ride keeps your bills straight and your peace intact, there's zero shame in that. Fake luxury will never outshine real stability. And when times get rough, move smart, stack in silence, sell what's extra, pawn that jewelry gathering dust. Because once you're out here begging folks to delete posts, blowing up phones, and scrambling with last-minute cleanup, the damage is already stamped. Quiet money grows, loud money fades, and in this era, every call can be recorded, every DM screenshot, every slip-up blasted viral in seconds. Nothing stays hidden. Once it's online, it's permanent. And on top of the money mess, Lil Meech has another storm to face. He's gotta get clean. Half the reckless choices and messy behavior we're watching makes sense if the whispers about him drowning in pills are true. Too often, being high leads to broken promises, wrong words, and misplaced trust. By the time sobriety kicks in, the audio's already leaked, the screenshots are saved, the footage is out, and the stain sticks. That's the perfect recipe for a career to crumble right in front of the world. And that's exactly what's happening. Wild failed claims stacking up, recording surfacing non-stop, exposure raining down with no mercy. It doesn't just drag Lil Meech down, it chips away at his father's name too, painting the empire they built as shattered pieces. Let's be real, Big Meech isn't the untouchable force he once was. BMF wasn't just famous in the late 90s and early 2000s, it was legendary. Exotic fleets, private jets on standby, the biggest VIP sections locked down, and power that could shift the music game. Back then, just standing next to BMF could supercharge Young Jeezy's whole career. That's how heavy the movement was. But today, whole different ball game. Social media's watchful eye doesn't let a gaudy kingdom breathe. Cameras are everywhere, and the smallest crack in the image gets blown up for millions to see. The Meech name is getting dragged in public, not strengthened in private. In the end, we're watching the downfall of a family once feared, worshipped, and admired, now torn down by their own moves. The father who taught the streets how to glow now sits quiet, seen in photos but barely heard, while the son crashes out in front of the world. And the same fans who once cheered for them are now tuned in, treating their fall like the latest Netflix drop. Alright y'all, that's all for today. Catch you in the next one.